Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. Just one mention for all non-Finns or probably non-Nordics that Tieto is quite large and well known in Nordics. We're roughly 14,000 employees and quite well in the society, technical society inside the Nordics. And before we go into actually what we're doing and how we're making MyData happen, I want to just reflect a little bit on the past year and a half, when I've been consulting and talking with customers, both in public and private sector, regarding MyData. And right now, what I actually say that MyData is an echo. And what I mean by that is that when I go speak with the different companies, public organizations, I say that MyData is necessary. They understand it, they echo it, they say the same things. Nobody's really doing anything on that. And now, please, I don't mean you guys. Of course, you are all innovators here. We have wonderful, fantastic companies doing some great things. We saw yesterday what Estonia is doing, and definitely they are more an exception than the norm right now. But I still feel that right now MyData is an echo, and everybody is just replaying what everybody else is saying, and nobody's really taking their own stance when it comes to those who hold the data, when it comes to those who actually use the data and make business with their personal data. And because of that also, it ties into what is the unanswered scream of 2016. If you were here last year, you remember from the feedback sessions at the end, there was one thing that came over and over again. Show me the business. And this is the thing. And now, as idealists, some of us are really just interested in the MyData as an ideology or a way of handling personal data. Why is this important? Well, if you know this is the diffusion of innovations, quite well-known bell graph according to Everett Rogers. You can see that the innovators are on the left side 2.5%, then the early adopters, and then the early majority. And if you ever in a business, you know that you need to reach the early majority. But what you need to verify is that, make sure is that who owns this data? Who is this, what this data is about? If you find a receipt at the market somewhere in the shop, you don't use anything, you can't use it because you don't know who owns that data. So the verifiability of the data is what brings value for MyData, and that is what creates the value chain. And if you don't have this value chain figured out, there's not going to be any mass adoption, mainly because the majority of the investments come from companies who want to make some kind of business. The business may not be of your personal data, but it may be of something else. We don't know what the business is going to be, but we do know that we need to figure out the value chains which are behind there. And I think this is something we have been missing for a while, to understand what is the value chain of MyData. And I believe it's the verifiability of that data. And these kind of value chains are best piloted inside certain subgroups, trust networks, if you will. And I believe now is the time to take the MyData talk for a walk. And that's why Tieto, well, at Tieto we really love new technology, and blockchain and ledgers, of course, are one of the biggest new technologies. And we've decided to partner with a wonderful company called Evernym. Evernym is the creator of Sovereign, original creator of Sovereign. Nowadays the code base is called Hyperledger Indy, and which is being hosted at Linux Foundation. But Sovereign is a distributed ledger for identity and distributed identity, and that enables creation of these kind of verifiable identity claims, verifiable piece of your identity. At this time, I'd like to also invite Andy Tobin and Markus Hautala to the stage, and we'd like to announce that Tieto and Evernym together are going to start a Sovereign pilot program. And we figured that this is the way to do it, because what we need is the companies to understand what blockchain and distributed ledgers in general, how they can change their business, how it will change their business, because the paradigm shift that happens with the distributed systems is huge, and we cannot ignore that. So we want to help our customers and everybody else to understand that change, and the pilot program is one of those ways. Before I let Andy and Markus have their few minutes of speech, if you're interested in this, the pilot program is about implementing MyData in practice, whatever the use case is in your context. And we do that with decentralized identity. We do that with trusted, verifiable data. And we talk a little bit more in detail about this today. We have a reception at the same time that there's the general reception downstairs. We're going to have a private reception right next door in the kitchen room. And we have also snacks and drinks over there. You're very welcome. We're going to go a little bit into more details what this program means. How can you be part of it? And if you cannot make it, there's a link there, that bit.ly link. Go there, sign up, and we'll catch up on you. So we have Andy Tobin and Markus Hautala is from Evernum, and Markus is the head of blockchain solutions for Tieto. And guys, your turn.
Thanks very much, Antti. Yes, Andy Tobin, I'm the managing director for Evernum for Europe. I was really impressed by that little animation we saw from the artistic folks, the King Gaffer one. I think this concept of leading the world out of identity slavery is really powerful. And it's amazing what is happening in Finland. So Finland is actually the leader leading the world out of identity slavery. And like any sort of big battle like that, you need a number of things. You need leaders and visionaries, Yogi, Kai, Antti, who've been busy setting this up, and everyone involved. But you also need armies as well. You need armies of people who can make it happen. You can have the leaders pointing the direction, but you need folks like Tieto who can actually deliver the technology and the integration and the really hard work that's going to make MyData happen. So we're really pleased as Evernum to be partnering with Tieto on this. And like any army, you need really good advanced weaponry. And that weaponry that we're using here is Sovereign, which is a decentralized identity network for the world. It's not owned by us. It's free for everyone to use, just like the internet. So the work that we'll be doing with Tieto here in Finland and elsewhere in the Nordics is absolutely prime focused on self-sovereign identity and the ideals of MyData. So it's going to be fantastically interesting. I encourage you to attend the session that Antti's holding later on.
Thank you, Andy. I think myself, as most of the people who get inspired by the distributed ledger technology, are inspired by the ideology behind the technology, which is that we can build more equal and inclusive societies. And that's exactly what inspires Tieto in this. And but there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of tech talk. But now what we want to do is that we want to really make this happen, and I believe that we have a wonderful technology for that, and we have an excellent partnership with Evernum in order to really make it happen. So we welcome all of you to say hi to us during the event today here, today and tomorrow, as well as to participate to the reception during the evening. But super happy to be part of this and finally to make this digital inclusion happen step by step. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.